It's Sophia and I wanted to have a cozy conversation about how to eliminate brain rot from society and what it takes. The word brain rot actually began in the 19th century. Recently it's resurfaced, I think because all of us are seeing the fact is that certain technologies and lifestyles and ways of being have affected the way that people are thinking to such a degree that we're not able to be at the pinnacle of humanity, and that's a problem. And what's cool is that I see many people on YouTube making videos about eliminating brain rot and their thoughts about it. So I wanted to share mine because I see a lot of things that are like almost there, but they're not talking about the one thing that I think makes the real difference. Well, first off, let me just say, okay, what is the problem? Like, what is causing it, right? You can point to a lot of things. I think one of the big things has been the acceleration of time and people's impatience and a focus on work and results. So like an instant gratification has infected our society, and it has been helped along by technologies that give us instant results. And it also has been accelerated by ways of teaching where maybe you're like in a class or an online course or in person, and you feel like you should learn something and then like maybe you take a test, multiple choice test, and like you know the thing. But the truth is that that's not how we learn. And in fact, the easier it is to learn something from like a course like that, let's say it takes you 10 minutes to go through some sort of material and then take a quick test and you get an A and you know all of it. If you acquire information that quickly, you lose it as quickly. It's the things that you work for that you tend to remember better. The topic of learning is important because learning is the cure to brain rot. And there's a lot of different ways to learn, but I am going to share some ways that are not focused on the instant gratification, that are more about actually taking your thinking to a new level, actually learning, and learning in such a way that it opens doors for you to have independent thought and brilliance. Because that to me is the opposite of brain rot. Now, we all can come from different places and define it different ways and have different goals with it, but that's where I'm coming from. And I'm a writer and I'm an entrepreneur and I share my thoughts with the world, and I enjoy this process because it provides an excuse for me to go through learning and growing and sharing. And since I have embodied the things I'm going to be telling you, I feel like I've taken all of it to a much bigger level that I sought for over 2 decades of writing and publishing online. So I really do hope that these tips are helpful to you, but you won't know unless you try them. So give them a shot. So the reason why I bring that thing up about instant gratification is because I think that when I hear other people discuss this idea of brain rot, that people are not as smart as they used to be or getting stuck in social media loops, scrolling all day and things like that are taking away from their ability to think right. They're addressing parts of the puzzle, but not actually the core problem, which I think is this instant gratification instinct. It creates an impatience, and social media does create that. And just the way that our media is now, where people are enjoying like 17-second clips of video with a ton of information in them before they move on to another clip of video. And this is how we're gaining so much information, from these short little bits coming at us all the time. Whereas, before you could maybe get somebody to watch like a 2-minute video, now it's got to be 10 seconds. It's getting shorter and shorter. This patience that people have is going away. So anything that can help you to build your patience, first off, will be really helpful and foundational in eliminating brain rot. The second thing I wanted to mention is, of course, yes, many people also look at this as a way, trying to solve this problem by eliminating screen time, by being on their phones less, by being on social media less, by watching less TV, things like that. And I think that social media specifically, and any apps that are designed to keep you addicted to them and designed to keep you cycling in them, yeah, they really do press a lot of buttons for my personal brain. And so, yeah, like monitoring how much I'm on there and trying to be on there less is generally good. With any addictive behavior, trying to do it less, I think, is generally good. But I do think that it is only one piece of the puzzle. So bear that in mind. I don't necessarily think it's necessary to go completely without, because there have been benefits in my life from having some social media contact. So that continues to be a journey that I'm navigating, trying to find a balance there. But I have benefited especially during certain periods of turmoil in society, taking a step back and taking a break and having that freedom to be able to do that is really important. And I know that as an entrepreneur, it can be really difficult to feel freedom to step away from social media, because for so many people, they use it for marketing, or, you know, if you're an author, use it for marketing for your books, and it can be really important. But looking into other ways that you could do that, like emailing, having your own website, things like that, to give you the flexibility to be able to step back when you find it affecting your own mental health and your own ability to think straight, I think is really good. Okay, so third, I want to say something that I see as a very common solution to brain rot is reading. And reading is wonderful. I love reading. I think that we don't read enough. A recent study came out saying that professors are now only assigning one book per college class to be read by their students. I remember reading like 6 per class, and I would have like 4 classes. So this is a huge shift in professors like assessing the brain rot scenario that is already here, and kind of what they can realistically get their students to read has decreased so much. And I think that's problematic. I don't think that's good. So I love reading, but I don't think that it's the full solution, because reading can be a passive activity. So you're getting some inputs, but we're not quite getting all the way there to the creating independent thoughts and taking it to the next level that we could. So it's like halfway there. So stick with the reading. But again, like I said, easy come, easy go. If you're just reading, let's say like a nonfiction book, and you just read it and you enjoy it and you put it back on your shelf, or you give it to a friend when you're done, chances are in a year, you're gonna vaguely remember what the book was about, but you're gonna forget a lot. And that's where note-taking and trying to extract information from these resources is an important step to actually remembering it. And again, the more time and kind of effort you spend doing this, which is maybe more annoying to you than just reading the book pleasurably, or even like writing a note in the book, you close it up, those things are lost to you, and they're not in your brain. So you need to revisit it. You need to kind of work with that material and take it to the next level. And that is going to help you to really remember it, which is why I'm very inspired by the trends around Commonplace books as a tool. It's a very old tool. The creator of the word Brainrot actually kept a Commonplace book, and I have resources on what that is and everything on my channel, as well as there's many other videos on it. So I won't get too into it, but the idea of you take out the quote and you rewrite it in a notebook. You take out your thoughts and reflections as you're reading and you jot those down. You're taking an additional step to build off of what you're reading, and it's creating a more active role for yourself. It's taking a little bit more time with the material and digesting it and savoring it. And this is the kind of thing that really cures brain rot. This is the kind of thing that is really the opposite of brain rot. It's not merely passively reading a book and then checking it off that I read 5 million books this year. How much are you really remembering from those books? It might be better to read 5 books really deeply than 5 million. If those books are so deep that they enrich your thinking and you change your life, that's awesome. Okay, so the next thing I want to say is I'm really pleased to see many people online putting together what they call a personal curriculum, which is a way to kind of define goals and steps to learn outside of academia, to pursue hobbies, to pursue topics of interest. And I think that's great. And I think it's really cool that it's like becoming a fad, because it's something you could do with library resources and things that are free. And again, it's all about learning and advancing your thinking and growing, and I think that's just fabulous. But again, looking at the details of what people are expecting, a lot of times it's just like, I'm reading a book. And so again, you know, like I just want to push people to try to take it to the next level. One thing I saw recently is that somebody had kind of homework assignments for themselves, like write a summary of what you read. And I think that adding that additional writing piece is really important. Now, the thing is that a lot of people don't like writing. But remember, you're not being graded. You're not being judged. This is for you, for your learning process. And so I think a lot of the things that people don't like about writing are things that they have acquired from other places that go away when you take away some of the structures like teachers and grades and red pens or public shaming. And it's just you. It's just you. It's just a way to think out loud in privacy. And I think that this is another thing that our society has been downplaying, the importance of privacy. But just to have time to process and learn behind the scenes is a gift that has been available to humans for thousands of years, and I think it's necessary. So please take that privacy in a notebook, and you can buy notebooks and paper for 50 cents, and it's just an important thing to keep the pen moving, keep the thoughts going, and you won't necessarily know where you're going to get until you've gone through the process. So if you are doing some sort of personal learning, I really do recommend that you include a writing element into it, and summarizing, creating some sort of argument, writing down what you found inspiring, writing down what you found challenging, how it might connect to other things that you're reading, and connecting ideas is really a powerful thing. So this is going to bring me to another point. Okay, so another point I have is that the ultimate way to get rid of brain rot is, well, let me give you a picture first. Okay, so I want to get into the ultimate way I think to cure brain rot. I want you to imagine a net with all these little joining points, right? So like a net has lines, and then those lines connect, and each of those, let's say it looks kind of like squares put together. Each of those little squares has a corner, and the corner connects to another part of the net, right? So when people talk about the brain and they talk about the way that our brain is, it's not just one solid mass. It's actually many different tiny neurons that have connections between them and can build more connections between them. So it's like a net that can keep growing between all the different spokes of the net, all the different corners, all the different joining points. And the more connections you make, again, the more you're going to remember things, the more you're going to take ideas into interesting places that other people haven't thought of, the more you're going to integrate your knowledge into your everyday life and have an opinion that people can respect. And I think that you will come to respect as well, and not simply regurgitating what you read or a summary, but taking it to another place where your ideas from all your life experience, all the things that you've read and consumed, conversations you've had with people, as well as your own independent thought, are coming to the surface and bubbling up and able to be expressed in whatever way you feel comfortable expressing them. I actually have a really great story to illustrate. I was taking a biology and human anatomy class many years ago, but I still remember to this day one of the details from the class, although I have forgotten many others. But there was one assignment that our teacher assigned us an essay, which is very strange for a science class. It was only 1 or 2 pages. And she said, take a concept from the class that you've learned or that we're learning about and connect it to something else. And that was all. It was very open-ended. And for me, I still to this day remember what my essay was about. My essay was about bone growth, how the bones grow, how the cells formulate to create our bones. And I said that it reminded me of the way that trees grow, because trees grow kind of in a circle around the core of the tree. And it turns out that our bone cells actually grow kind of similarly. It's just a couple different of those cores together, but they do grow around each core as you get older and bigger. And so I still remember that about bones. And I took that class in like 2011-ish. So 2025. I don't totally remember all the other details of the class, and honestly, I just had to get credit for it and get through it and check it off my list. But it's kind of cool that I still remember that in some ways humans are similar to trees in the way that we grow our bones. And I think that just shows the power of how connecting ideas truly does create better long-term memories and helps you learn in such a deeper way, and also a more interesting way than just simply trying to memorize something. So hopefully I'm making progress on convincing you that making connections is an important part to your learning process and eliminating brain rot. But this is easier when you take an isolated subject. When you start to collect a lot of materials together, it starts to become more difficult to digest it all. There's such an interesting world open to you now that I think maybe was closed in the past. We have so many resources available to us that I just want people to understand. And I've started to get into this by reading the book Building a Second Brain by Tiago Forte. I will say I feel like Tiago Forte has gone another direction these days and is no longer as focused on this work, but the book itself was really good, and it led me into this world of what's called PKM, or personal knowledge management, which is another word for where do we keep information and how can we do it in such a way that it becomes like a second brain, like another resource for us to tap into and learn from and develop connections and ideas. Because once you read a couple books, it starts to become a lot. Like, let's say the notes you took. How do you continue to revisit these notes and these thoughts and connect them with more as you go about years and decades of learning in the future? I love notebooks. You know, I really do love a physical notebook, and I don't want to ever stop. But I did reach a capacity limit of just how many physical notebooks I can look at any time and reread and revisit at any time and shelve and transport and store. And so digital has a place, and I think that we have so many technologies that now allow us to connect ideas together and make it a lot easier to find those ideas, that then we can just review all those connections and get to a conclusion and get to a next level much more quickly than searching through a bunch of physical books. And so I really enjoy software like what's called Obsidian. It's a free software where you can link and connect ideas together. And I've been sharing about my process of using it in other videos, and I do invite you to go check those out. And so I will link some below, and I hope to continue to talk about them in the future. I am like almost 8 months pregnant, so there may be some inconsistency in my posting in the near future. But I have also created a course about how I use the software, because it's really helped my ideas go to the next level, to be able to connect all of my ideas in one place, to easily, whenever I want to sit down and, let's say, write an article about a topic, I have so many ideas already accessible, so many notes, so many quotes, so many things already pre-connected and ready to go. And I've done the work as I go, connecting things and thinking through, how does this relate to other stuff that I've read? What other ideas is this connected to? Was there a topic of interest of mine that the points in this book are proving that this article relates to this topic? I might not even know what I'm going to do with any of this, but it's just part of my learning, part of my memory keeping, part of my storage of my ideas, and how I'm learning on a day-to-day basis, that I start to note how things connect to other things. And I leave the door open digitally to be able to find it again. So I hope that this makes sense. Again, I think that it would make more sense if you've gone through the process. All I can say is I hope that this has spurred your curiosity and that you're interested in other ways to cure brain rot by not just reading, not just taking a class, not just doing a curriculum, but writing and taking those ideas and then doing something with them, taking notes and taking them to the next level, trying to find new connections, trying to find new ways to bring everything together in such a way that your thoughts are elevated, your thinking is elevated, and you're not relegated to a passive consumer of information or someone who is just scrolling through 12-second videos for the rest of your life, but to really have the shining beacon of humanity go through you, where you have independent thought and something to contribute to the conversation here. So these are my thoughts. I hope you have a good day, and like this video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe for more from me on the process of writing, being a writer, being an entrepreneur, creating, and trying to inspire other people to do the same. Thank you.